Not only will I show you the best caramel apple recipe in town, but I'll show you why those no-fail recipes fail every time. Thin caramel that won't stick, we're done with that. I know you're tired and struggling with all of that caramel that's sticking to your silicone mats. It's sticking to your parchment paper. It's sticking to your wax paper no matter what you do. That's why I have the perfect tip for that. Now hold up. Go ahead and put that candy thermometer to the side. You won't need it. I've perfected this recipe without it, saving you time and money. And if you're just starting out and can't afford an edible printer and Cricut, I've got a tool for cutting edible images under $20. Let's get into it.
This is Candy Apple TV with DIY Queen Diva. I like to turn my apples upside down. The reason that I turn my apples upside down is to level my apples off, because they're all going to kind of be a different size, somewhat the same size, but to make them even and to level without rolling, I turn them upside down. I only use this for my candy apples. So this is my candy apple hammer I got from the Dollar Tree, so just pay $1.
If you're making a dozen or more of caramel or candy apples, use 1 cup of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of baking soda. Anything less, just divide it in half. After you add all of the ingredients to clean your apples, you want to bring your candy apple cleaning method to a boil for 6 seconds for each apple. So rotate your apple for 6 seconds, take it out and dry it off.
So you're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I take my paper towel and I just take the top part and I make sure I get the top part and I just dry the whole entire apple. Then I'll have a shine. Within 24 to 48 hours, these apples will turn colors. Okay, so you need 1 stick of melted butter. Always use Tillamook sea salted extra creamy butter. This is room temperature butter because I have some cupcakes and some cakes to make. And then what you're going to do is melt your butter first. Okay, so once you've melted your butter, you're going to add 1 cup of brown sugar. It doesn't have to be packed down. Just pour 1 cup of brown sugar in your measuring cup. Then we're going to pour 1 cup of regular white sugar. Get some light corn syrup, 1 cup of light corn syrup. And I tend to use Cairo, but I've used Walmart's brand and that works just as good. Great value. Any light corn syrup will work. One cup of sweetened condensed milk, and this is pretty much 1 cup, so you can pour the whole can in there if you want. It's gonna give me about 1 cup. So everything is 1 cup. See, I mean, it's still some in there, but 1 cup of sweetened condensed milk, which is equivalent to 1 can. This is 14 ounces. Okay.
So 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. And you want to stir this really well before you put it on the stove. And when you put it on the stove, you're gonna keep stirring it like this the whole 20 minutes. You're gonna put it on the stove between the 4 and the 5 for 20 minutes non-stop. And when I say non-stop, that's what I mean, non-stop. You do not need a candy thermometer, but you can get one. It's just gonna be in the way. That's why I figured out how to make caramel apples without a candy thermometer. So you wanna make sure this is good and stirred up, especially with that butter. And you can put your vanilla in right now, like I am getting ready to do, or you can wait towards the end and put it in. But as you know, watching all of my videos, I tend to put my flavoring in at the beginning, whether it's my candy apples or my caramel apples. It's just your preference. The vanilla I like to use is the Lorenz Butter Vanilla. I use this for my candy apples as well. And with for my caramel apples, I like to use 1 good tablespoon. And this makes about 8 to 12 caramel apples, depending on the size of your apples. And with my leftover caramel, because I'm just gonna dip 5, I'm gonna make some turtles. Okay, so now I'm gonna put this on the stove and just keep stirring like this. You're gonna keep stirring like this for 20 minutes non-stop. And I'll see you back in 20 minutes. Okay, this is about 10 minutes. See, it's starting to bubble. It's getting thick, but easier to stir. So this is right at 15 minutes. You want to make sure you have a spatula spoon, and you want to keep stirring that caramel. Okay, you don't want to stop, because once you stop, you're going to burn your caramel. You don't want it to burn or stick to the pan. And I have my cell phone in one hand and my spoon in the other. So this is right at 15. So I got 5 more minutes. So this is 15 right here. So I have 2 more minutes left, and you see the difference in the texture of the caramel and the color. You can't really see the numbers on here, but it is. So it's at exactly 235. Okay, so this is my caramel. This is my caramel apple recipe. It doesn't take that long. It's not like the other caramel apple recipes where it takes forever to get thick. Give it about 3 to 4 minutes, and you can dip your apples right away. You don't have to wait 30 minutes. You don't have to wait an hour, none of that. This is not that liquid down caramel apple recipe. This is the deal. I forgot to insert my straws, so I'm gonna do that now. The only thing that I can do at this point is try to wipe as much juice as I can down. But if you find your caramel sticking to your silicone mat, so you want to use wax paper, parchment paper, or silicone mat, your caramel shouldn't stick unless your house is just really hot. But to prevent your caramel from sticking to your silicone mat, you're just gonna spread some butter over your silicone mat, your parchment paper. You don't need to do it on wax paper, but do not use wax paper for candy apples. What I can say is we're going to go ahead and dip these. Now, it hadn't even been 5 minutes, probably about 3. And I can tell my caramel is already thick. So I can go ahead and dip these babies. That's what I'm saying. This is a different type of caramel apple recipe. This ain't that liquid down watery caramel you gotta wait on. And then you can tell by the pull on the bottom, you know, this is some good stuff right here. And this is what the bottom looks like when you scrape it good, so you don't have that puddle of caramel on the bottom on your apple. So if you want to add nuts, go ahead after you scrape your apple really well. I may just wait until these cool. I was gonna wait until I get off and come back and dip them in chocolate. Now, as far as the pull, your apple should just go ahead and pull up off the silicone mat. See? No caramel. I didn't put butter down, but if that's what you need to do, go ahead and do it. Your house is just too humid. I have a bag of Ghirardelli. I'm going to melt it down. So I am going to put this in the microwave every 30 seconds. But first, let me get 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. So I add 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Then I put this in the microwave for 30 seconds. What I like to do first though, I like to make sure the oil is spread throughout. Now I'm going to put this in the microwave for 30 seconds. So now I am going to stir. Make sure that's good and stirred up. I'm gonna put this in the microwave for another 30 seconds. This is my second 30 seconds, and it should be good and melted. So I only use 1 tablespoon now. At one time I used to use 2 tablespoons, but that's because the bags are now smaller. They are not 12 ounces anymore. They are now, I believe, 10 ounces. So 1 tablespoon is good enough. You really don't need any vegetable oil. You follow the instructions on the back of the bag. And I am just gonna let this cool down some before I dip my chocolate, because I want this to be a thick coating. So the more that it cools down, the thicker the chocolate. I don't want it too thin. So I'll be back once this cools down. Okay, so we have our chocolate. I guess it's been about 10 minutes. And it's much thicker. You can try to wait 15. Do that for each apple. Just rotate it in the chocolate. I let the chocolate just drizzle off. And then I just scrape it on the side of my cup. And then once it stops dripping chocolate, I just place it down on my silicone mat. Okay, so now we're going to make our caramel chocolate apples look like this. These are edible images. Fondant is holding this up. You really don't need fondant. And this is a actually photo. I use photo paper, and I'll show you what I used as far as cutting the flag out. But these are edible images that I have on the apple. Then I have my bow. And you can watch my candy apple bow tutorials, and I'll put that link down below so you can learn how to make these candy apple bows. So I roll my fondant out, cut a square. Anyways, so I take my edible image. And I shouldn't have picked that up like that. I take my fondant piece here. I am going to attach this. So my fondant is a little bigger than the square itself, so I'm just gonna cut some down. Round it off. And I'm gonna add some edible glue. This is the dab and hold. I'm just gonna add a dab here and just spread it with, I'll just add a dab. That dab there, a dab there, and a dab there. But like this. Okay. Get my edible image here. I'm gonna do it like that. I'm gonna get some edible glue and just put a dab of it on the brush. And I'm gonna attach it right here. This is just something I'm making up. I don't know. Well, it came out cute. It came out cute. And attach that. So I take my caramel chocolate apple here. And you can use a hole puncher or whatever you have, but I'm just gonna do it like this. Make a hole like that. Bring it over the candy apple stick. I'm gonna take that part, be careful, just leave it right there. And you can cut that off if you want. The main thing is getting this how you want it. I'm gonna add a little edible glue on here. I'm going to take my edible images. Now, I didn't pre-cut these on my Cricut because I wanted to show you all you need is an edible printer. And when you make money off a dozen or 2 dozen of candy apples, you can buy a Cricut. But take your edible image and peel that plastic protectant that's on the edible images or the edible paper. And this is I have about 2 or 3 of these, but I grabbed this out of Michael's. It's a 2-inch hole cutter. And what you do is you're going to turn it over. You're going to take this plastic piece off. Well, I don't take it all the way off until I'm done with all of them because I want to protect the other fondant pieces. So you turn your hole puncher over And you can pretty much see how this is going to cut. So you want it about right there. That's how I'm gonna cut it. I'm trying not. And see, you still have your plastic piece on for your other edible images. So I have my edible image. Just a tad bit of glue, edible glue. You want to use edible glue. And just attach it here on the other edible images. That's what I did. And you can be creative how you want to be creative. And you want to put your hot glue on the back of the bow. Attach it to your stick. For your flags, I use this right here. This is the glossy photo paper, and I'll put the link down below. Get some hot glue and attach on the back of this photo. This is a photo copy. So now you have your Memorial Day caramel chocolate apples, and they are so good.